Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that the difference between the life you're living right now and the life you've always dreamed of isn't years away, isn't hidden behind luck, and isn't reserved for the chosen few, but can be unlocked instantly with a simple formula? Imagine having the power in this very moment to flip the switch from fear to confidence, from doubt to certainty, from stuck to unstoppable. This isn't theory. This isn't wishful thinking. This is a formula you can apply right now, and the moment you do, everything in your life begins to shift. And imagine for a moment that the life you truly want, the one you dream about late at night when no one's watching, isn't as far away as it seems. Imagine that instead of years of struggle, instead of waiting for the perfect time, instead of convincing yourself you're not ready yet, there's a formula, a simple formula that can shift your life instantly. Not tomorrow, not next week, not someday, instantly. The difference between the life you're living and the life you want often comes down to the choices you make in this exact moment. And the truth is, you already have what it takes to step into that life right now. And the formula is simple: focus, state, and action. 3 parts working together, creating unstoppable momentum. If you change what you focus on, you change how you feel. If you change your state, you change your energy, your confidence, and your presence. And if you take action, you turn possibility into reality. That's the formula: focus, state, action. And when you master it, you gain the power to shift your life in an instant. And let's break it down. First, focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. If you focus on what's missing in your life, you feel empty. If you focus on what's wrong, you feel frustrated. If you focus on what you can't control, you feel powerless. But if you shift your focus to what's possible, to what's within your reach, to the things you can be grateful for right now, your energy transforms. Your brain is a meaning-making machine, and it will find evidence to support whatever you focus on. So the question is, are you focusing on limitations or on possibilities? On problems or on solutions? The instant you change your focus, you change your reality. And second, state. Your state is the emotional and physical condition you're in at any given time. Think about it. Have you ever had a day when everything felt overwhelming, when your body was slumped, your breathing shallow, your energy drained? In that state, even simple challenges feel impossible. But on another day, when your shoulders were back, your breathing was deep, your energy was high, the exact same challenge felt exciting, even fun. Nothing external changed. Only your state changed. The way you use your body, your physiology, your breath, your movement, it all directly impacts the way you feel. Shift your body and you shift your emotions. And when your emotions change, your possibilities expand. And the third part is action. Focus and state are powerful, but without action, they're incomplete. You can dream all you want, you can pump yourself up with energy, but until you take a step forward, nothing changes. Action is the bridge between imagination and reality, and here's the secret. You don't need to take massive, overwhelming action right away. You just need to take one step. One small action done with consistency creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence, and confidence builds into unstoppable progress. And so the formula is this: change your focus, shift your state, and take immediate action. That's how you improve your life instantly. Not someday, not when circumstances align, not when you feel perfectly ready. Right now. And picture someone who's been struggling with their health. They wake up tired, they feel heavy, they think it's hopeless, their focus is on their pain, their state is lethargic, and their action is avoidance. But what if, in that instant, they shift their focus to the vision of the healthy, vibrant life they crave? What if they stand up, breathe deeply, move their body with power, and take one small action, like drinking a glass of water, going for a 10-minute walk, or preparing a nourishing meal? Instantly, the direction of their life changes. It's not about perfection, it's about momentum. Or think about someone stuck in a relationship that feels flat, disconnected, unfulfilling. Their focus has been on what the other person isn't giving them. Their state is frustrated, withdrawn. Their action is to retreat, to protect themselves. But imagine if they shift their focus to what they appreciate, to the love they once felt. Imagine if they stand tall, open their heart, breathe deeply, and approach their partner with energy and kindness. Imagine if they take one small action, a smile, a touch, a word of encouragement. The energy shifts instantly. Connection is reignited. Possibility is reborn. And this works in business too. Someone feeling stuck in their career may be focusing on everything that's going wrong, the failures, the obstacles, the lack of opportunities. Their state is low energy, uncertain, defeated. Their actions are hesitation, procrastination, avoidance. But the moment they shift their focus to the opportunity in front of them, to the skills they can sharpen, to the vision they're building, their state transforms. Shoulders back, energy high, eyes clear. They take one bold action, making a call, sending an email, starting a project, and suddenly momentum is back. And what's powerful about this formula is that it works instantly because you are the one in control. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need more time, more money, or more resources to start. All you need is the decision to take control of your focus, your state and your action in this moment. And think about it this way. Your life is a reflection of the patterns you repeat. If you repeat the pattern of focusing on what's missing, living in a disempowered state, and avoiding action, you create a life of frustration. But if you repeat the pattern of focusing on what's possible, living in a powerful state, and taking bold action, you create a life of fulfillment, passion, and progress. The formula isn't complicated. It's easy. And because it's easy, you can use it right now. And close your eyes for a second and imagine the best version of yourself. Imagine the energy, the passion, the clarity. Imagine how that version of you walks into a room, how they speak, how they carry themselves, how they take action. That version of you isn't some far-off dream. That version of you is available the moment you apply the formula. Focus on what matters. Shift your body, your energy, your emotions into a powerful state. Then take one bold action. And suddenly you're not imagining the best version of you. You're living it. And you don't need to wait until life slows down. You don't need to wait until you feel like it. You don't need to wait until everything is perfect. Because if you wait, you'll be waiting forever. But if you decide now in this moment to shift your focus, change your state, and take action, your life begins to change instantly. That's the formula. And once you understand it, once you live it, you can apply it to every area of your life, your health, your relationships, your business, your finances, your growth. And life is not about resources, it's about resourcefulness. It's not about what you don't have, it's about how you use what you already have. And right now you have everything you need. You have the ability to choose your focus, to command your state, and to take bold action. That is your power. That is two. He formula, use it, and your life will never be the same again. And so let's go even deeper. Think about the truth behind this formula. The reality is your entire life can be traced back to these three elements: what you choose to focus on, the emotional state you create, and the actions you take as a result. It might seem too simple at first glance, but simplicity is what makes it powerful. People often overcomplicate transformation. They think they need complex plans, massive resources, or years of preparation. But in truth, it's the small shifts that create the biggest breakthroughs. The formula works because it cuts through the noise and taps directly into the core of human behavior. And focus is the first lever because it's the lens through which you experience life. Two people can go through the exact same event and have completely different experiences based entirely on what they choose to focus on. One person faces a setback and says, "This is the end. I'm not good enough. I'll never succeed." Another person faces the same setback and says, "This is a lesson. This is fuel. This is the very thing that will make me stronger." Same event, different focus, completely different outcomes. That's why shifting your focus in an instant has the power to change your entire emotional world. And the brain naturally has a bias to look for problems. It's designed for survival, not happiness. That means if you're not intentional with your focus, your brain will find what's wrong, what's missing, what could go wrong next. That wiring kept our ancestors alive, but today, if you don't take charge of your focus, you'll live in a constant loop of stress and fear. The formula works because it allows you to redirect that ancient survival mechanism toward a vision of growth and progress. Instead of focusing on fear, you focus on possibility. Instead of focusing on lack, you focus on abundance. Instead of focusing on what could go wrong, you focus on what you can create. And once you shift your focus, your state follow. Tobias, picture this. Someone walks into a room with slumped shoulders, no eye contact, shallow breathing, slow movements. You don't even need to hear their words to feel their energy. They radiate defeat. That's state. But now imagine the same person walking in with their chest up, their head high, their eyes alive with energy. Their voice carries certainty. Their movements are strong. Their breath is full. The energy is completely different. And here's the key. You control your state. You can decide to move your body with strength, to breathe deeply, to smile, to bring life into your posture. The moment you do, your state changes. And when your state changes, you think differently, you feel differently, you act differently, and action is the final piece, and it's where transformation becomes real. You can change your focus and your state in an instant, but if you don't follow through with action, nothing changes externally. Think about it. Have you ever felt inspired, pumped up, ready to conquer the world, and then done nothing about it? The energy fades, the inspiration disappears, and you're left exactly where you started. That's because action cements the shift. Action tells your brain and your body, this is who I am now. This is what I stand for. Action creates identity, and identity creates destiny. And now let's bring this into real life scenarios. Imagine someone struggling with money. They're buried in debt, overwhelmed, convinced they'll never get ahead. Their focus is on the mountain of bills, the mistakes they've made, the feeling of being trapped. Their state is anxiety, fear, hopelessness. And their actions? Avoidance, procrastination, maybe even self-sabotage. But what if in a single moment they decided to shift? They could focus instead on opportunity, on the skills they have, on the potential to create value for others. They could change their state by standing tall, breathing deeply, moving their body with energy, and saying out loud, I am resourceful and I will find a way. And then they could take one simple action, calling a client, applying for a job, selling something they no longer need, starting a side hustle. That one action creates progress. Progress fuels confidence, and confidence builds momentum. Instantly, their life begins to shift. And think about the person who says, I want to get fit, but I just don't have the discipline. Their focus is on the struggle, the pain, the obstacles. Their state is tired, unmotivated. Their action is skipping workouts, eating whatever is convenient. But if they change their focus to the vision of being strong, energized, confident, their body responds differently. They stand taller, they feel more alive, and suddenly they're inspired. Then they take one action. Maybe they go for a jog. Maybe they prepare a healthy meal. Maybe they sign up for a class. That one action creates momentum, and momentum is everything. And in relationships, it's the same. Two people can be in the same partnership, but one focuses on all the flaws, the unmet needs, the disappointments. Their state is frustration, disconnection, resentment. Their action is to pull away, to shut down, to give less. The relationship suffers. But if they shift their focus to the moments of love, the qualities they admire, the shared vision, their state becomes gratitude, excitement, connection. Their action is kindness, energy, affection, and the relationship flourishes. And what's important to understand is that the formula doesn't require perfect circumstances. It doesn't depend on luck or timing or waiting until everything falls into place. It's available at any moment because you control it. That's what makes it so powerful. The world around you doesn't need to change for you to change your life. You only need to change what's happening inside of you. And here's something else to remember. Repetition builds mastery. The more often and you apply this formula, the more automatic it becomes. At first, you may have to consciously remind yourself to shift your focus, to change your state, to take action. But over time, it becomes who you are. You become the kind of person who naturally looks for possibilities instead of problems, who naturally lives in a strong and vibrant state, who naturally takes bold action without hesitation. That's when transformation is permanent. And now think about the ripple effect. When you apply this formula, it doesn't just change your life. It changes the lives of everyone around you. When you focus on solutions instead of problems, you inspire others to do the same. When you live in a powerful state, your energy lifts those around you. When you take bold action, you create opportunities not just for yourself, but for others as well. Your family feels it, your friends feel it, your colleagues feel it. You become a force of change, a living example of what's possible. And here's the truth. You've already experienced moments like this. You've had times in your life when you shifted your focus, when you stepped into a powerful state, when you took decisive action, and everything changed. Maybe it was a moment of courage when you spoke up, a moment of determination when you pushed through, a moment of love when you gave more than you thought you could. Those moments weren't accidents. They were you tapping into the formula. The difference now is that you can do it consciously, intentionally, consistently. And what if instead of waiting for inspiration, you generated it? What if instead of reacting to life, you created it? What if instead of letting fear or doubt dictate your path, you chose focus, state, and action every single day? That's how you improve your life instantly. That's how you transform possibility into reality. And then remember, it's not about never feeling fear or doubt or stress. It's about mastering the ability to shift. Fear will come, doubt will come, stress will come, but when it does, you have the formula. You can change your focus, shift your state, and take action. That's your power. That's your freedom. That's how you rise above the circumstances and create the life you deserve. And so in this very moment, ask yourself, what are you focusing on? Is it empowering or disempowering? How are you using your body, your breath, your energy? Are you in a powerful state or a weak one? And what action can you take right now, no matter how small, that moves you forward? Answer those questions with courage, and you've already improved your life. You've already stepped into the formula. You've already created momentum. And the truth is, that's all you need to create the breakthrough you've been waiting for. And now let's take this to an even deeper level. The beauty of this formula is that it's universal. It doesn't matter what culture you're from, what your background looks like, what your past has been, or what challenges you've faced. It works because it taps into the very core of human psychology and physiology. Every single one of us has the ability to direct our focus, to command our state, and to follow through with action. And yet most people live their entire lives without ever realizing how much power they truly have. They wait for external circumstances to change, as if life owes them a breakthrough. But breakthroughs don't come from waiting. They come from applying the formula again and again until it becomes second nature. And imagine waking up tomorrow morning and immediately shifting your focus. Instead of thinking about the problems waiting for you, you focus on what you're grateful for, what you're excited about, what you can create today. You then shift your state by getting your body moving, breathing with power, bringing energy into your posture. And then, before you even allow doubt to creep in, you take one small action toward your vision. That single morning, routine could be the difference between another day of repeating old patterns and a brand new day of momentum, confidence, and progress. And this formula is the difference between people who live reactively and those who live proactively. Most people are reactive. They let the news dictate their mood. They let other people's words determine their worth. They let circumstances define their destiny. But those who apply the formula become proactive creators of their lives. They decide where to put their focus. They decide the state they'll live in, and they decide what actions to take. And when you consistently make those decisions, you create a life on your terms. And think about the power of focus in high-pressure situations. Picture an athlete standing at the edge of the field with everything on the line. If their focus drifts to the pressure, to the crowd, to the fear of failure, their state collapses and their performance suffers. But if their focus locks onto the opportunity, onto the years of training, onto the vision of victory, their state becomes powerful and their action follows with precision. The same principle applies to you. When life puts pressure on you, where will your focus go? Will it be on the fear or on the opportunity? That single choice determines everything. And in state, it's not just about energy, it's about identity. When you live in a strong state consistently, you start to see yourself differently. Instead of being someone who tries to change, you become someone who simply lives with passion, certainty, and confidence. State becomes a reflection of who you are, not just what you do. That shift in identity is permanent because you've conditioned it into your nervous system. The moment you realize you can step into any state you choose, you stop being a victim of circumstance and start being the architect of your reality. And now let's talk about action in a way most people overlook. Action isn't always about doing something massive. It's about doing something meaningful. One phone call can change the course of your career. One conversation can save a relationship. One decision to put on your running shoes can change your health trajectory. People often underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. They think change only comes from giant leaps, but in truth, it's the small steps repeated daily that create transformation. Action doesn't just build results, it builds belief. Every time you take action, you reinforce to yourself, I am capable, I am committed, I am creating change. And let me give you a picture. Imagine someone who has struggled with confidence their whole life. They've told themselves the story that they're shy, that they're not a leader, that they're not capable of influencing others. That's their focus. Their state reflects it. They're hunched, quiet, hesitant. Their actions mirror it. They avoid speaking up. They hide. They shrink back. But in one moment, they decide to interrupt the pattern. They shift their focus to the possibility of becoming a confident communicator. They shift their state by standing tall, breathing deeply, moving with energy, and then they take one action. They speak up in a meeting. They introduce themselves to a stranger. They volunteer for a role that requires presence. That single action creates a ripple effect. Suddenly, the identity of shy no longer fits because they've just proven otherwise. That's how transformation begins. And you might wonder, what happens when life throws something at you that you didn't expect? Something painful, something unfair. That's when the formula becomes even more powerful, because you can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. When adversity hits, your focus will determine whether you spiral downward or rise upward. Your state will determine whether you crumble or grow stronger, and your action will determine whether you stay stuck or create momentum. This isn't about denying pain or pretending challenges don't exist. It's about reclaiming your power to choose how you move forward. And think of history's greatest leaders, innovators, and change makers. They all faced immense challenges, often far greater than the ones we complain about daily. What set them apart wasn't perfect conditions. It was their ability to focus on a vision greater than themselves. to live in a state of determination and courage, and to take relentless action in the face of obstacles. The formula is timeless because it's the same principle they used, whether consciously or instinctively, to shape the world. And here's the truth you need to hear. The formula is not something you try once. It's something you live. It's not just for the big moments. It's for the small daily moments when nobody's watching. It's in the way you wake up, the way you handle stress, the way you respond to setbacks, the way you pursue your dreams. Each time you apply it, you strengthen the muscle. And just like in the gym, the more you train it, the stronger it becomes. Eventually, it's not just something you do, it's who you are. And so imagine the life you want in vivid detail. Imagine the relationships full of love and connection. Imagine the career filled with impact and fulfillment. Imagine the health that radiates energy and vitality. Imagine the contribution you make, the difference you create. That vision isn't far away. It's accessible through this formula. The only gap between where you are and where you want to be is whether you're willing to master your focus, your state, and your action. And what if every time you faced a challenge, you immediately asked yourself, what can I focus on right now that will empower me? What state can I create that will make me unstoppable? What action can I take right now that will move me forward? Those three questions are the key. Why is to unlocking instant transformation. And in the more you live this, the more you'll realize that life isn't about waiting for the right opportunity. It's about creating it. Opportunities don't knock, they're built. Momentum doesn't appear, it's generated. Confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you create through repeated action. The formula gives you the blueprint to build all of it. And the question is, will you use it? Because in this very moment, the choice is in your hands. You can continue to live by default, letting life happen to you, letting circumstances dictate your destiny. Or you can live by design, taking control of your focus, commanding your state, and driving your actions with purpose. One path leads to mediocrity, the other leads to fulfillment, growth, and a life that inspires not just you, but everyone around you. And as you imagine yourself on that path of growth, think of the compounding effect over time. One day of shifting your focus, one day of living in a powerful state, one day of taking bold action, that's progress. 10 days of repeating it, that's momentum. 100 days, that's transformation. 1,000 days, that's mastery. This isn't about improving your life for a moment. It's about creating a trajectory where every day becomes a step closer to the life you were meant to live. And so the question remains, what will you choose to focus on right now? What state will you step into this very moment? And what action will you take immediately to move closer to your vision? Because the instant you answer with courage, you've already changed your life. And that's the formula. And when you begin to live this way, something extraordinary happens. You start to notice how quickly life responds to you. Opportunities that seemed invisible begin to appear. Conversations take on a new energy. People are drawn to your presence because they can feel the certainty radiating from you. That's the power of aligning focus, state, and action. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's the natural result of directing your energy with intention. And think about how most people live. They drift through their days reacting to whatever comes their way. Their focus is scattered, bouncing from one distraction to the next. Their state is weak because their body is slouched. Their breathing is shallow and their energy is low. Their actions are inconsistent, hesitant, and full of doubt. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why they never seem to get ahead, why life feels heavy. It's because they're letting external circumstances dictate their internal world instead of claiming their power to shift in any moment. But you are not here to drift. You are not here to live a life of reaction. You are here to create, to grow, to expand, to become more. And the formula gives you the keys to do it. Every time you take control of your focus, every time you shift your state, every time you take bold action, you're breaking free from the grip of mediocrity and stepping into your true potential. And think of your focus like a magnifying glass. Wherever you direct it, the heat intensifies. If you focus on problems, they grow larger. If you focus on fear, it becomes overwhelming. But if you focus on solutions, they expand. If you focus on gratitude, your heart fills with strength. If you focus on the vision of what you want, you begin to see pathways you never noticed before. Focus creates clarity, and clarity creates power. Without it, energy is wasted. With it, energy is unstoppable. And your state is like the fuel in your tank. You could have the most brilliant plan, the clearest vision, the best strategy, but if your state is weak, you won't follow through. A powerful state turns obstacles into challenges you want to conquer. It gives you the energy to persist when others give up. It makes you magnetic, influential, and unstoppable. The good news is you don't have to wait for external Yours to change your state. You can generate it in seconds. Move your body with intensity, breathe deeply, shift your posture, and instantly your energy changes. Smile with full force, shout words of power, and watch your entire nervous system light up. You're in control of that switch always. And in action is the bridge between intention and reality. Without action, dreams remain fantasies. Without action, visions die in notebooks and journals. But with action, even the smallest steps, everything shifts. Action compounds, action builds habits, action creates momentum that no amount of thinking ever could. The truth is, you don't need to know every step of the journey, you just need to take the first one. The road reveals itself to those who move forward with courage. And imagine a person who's been paralyzed by indecision. They've spent years waiting for clarity, for the perfect moment, for everything to align. But nothing has changed because waiting is not a strategy. Then one day they shift their focus. They say, I may not know everything, but I know the first step. They shift their state, breathing deeply, standing tall, summoning courage. And then they take action. They make the call, they write the proposal, they book the meeting, they take the chance. That moment becomes the turning point of their life, not because they had all the answers, but because they dared to act. And now imagine applying this formula not once in a while, but daily. Think of what would happen if every single day you woke up and asked yourself, what will I focus on today that empowers me? What state will I live in that brings out my best? What action will I take that moves me forward? That kind of consistency rewires your identity. You're no longer someone who hopes for change. You are someone who creates it. And let's talk about the ripple effect again. When you live this formula, you don't just transform yourself, you elevate everyone around you. Think of the parent who shifts their focus from frustration to gratitude, who lives in a state of love and presence, who takes the action of listening deeply to their child. That parent doesn't just change their own life, they shape the identity of their child. Think of the leader who focuses on vision instead of obstacles, who lives in a state of courage, who takes decisive action. That leader doesn't just move themselves forward, they move entire teams, organizations, even societies. And the truth is, every action you take sends ripples into the world. You may not always see them, but they exist. A kind word spoken in a powerful state can lift someone from despair. A bold action taken with focus can inspire others to do the same. And when enough ripples combine, they create waves of transformation far beyond what you ever imagined. But here's what most people get wrong. They think they need to feel ready before they act. They think they need to have confidence before they take the leap. They think they need certainty before they move. But confidence doesn't come before action, it comes after. Certainty doesn't appear before you start, it's built as you move forward. Readiness isn't something you wait for, it's something you create by applying the formula again and again until action becomes your natural default. And think of a time in your life when you felt unstoppable. Maybe it was a time you achieved something against all odds, or a time you surprised yourself with courage, or a time you gave more than you thought you could. In that moment, what was different? You had shifted your focus, you had lived in a powerful state, and you had taken bold action. You may not have realized it then, but you were living the formula. And if you did it once, you can do it again, this time consciously, deliberately, consistently. And the challenge is that the world is full of distractions, pulling your focus, draining your state, and paralyzing your actions. Social media, media, endless notifications, constant noise, they scatter your energy, but you can rise above that by taking ownership of your internal world. You can choose to focus on what matters. You can choose to command your state before you engage with the day. You can choose to take intentional action instead of reactive busyness. That's the discipline of living this formula. And discipline doesn't mean struggle. Discipline means freedom. Because when you discipline your focus, your state, and your action, you free yourself from the chains of distraction, fear, and hesitation. You become free to create the life you want, not the one you settle for. And now picture yourself years from now looking back on this moment. You'll remember the exact point you decided to no longer live passively, the moment you chose to master your focus, your state, and your action. You'll see how that decision created a chain reaction, new opportunities, stronger relationships, greater health, more fulfillment. You'll realize that nothing external changed at first. It all began with a decision inside of you. That's the kind of decision that defines a life. And as you continue to live this, you'll notice that challenges don't go away, but your relationship to them changes. What once would have crushed you now fuels you. What once would have scared you now excites you. What once would have stopped you now becomes the very reason you push forward. Because when you master the formula, You no longer avoid challenges. You welcome them as opportunities to grow stronger, sharper, and more alive. And this is the path of transformation. It doesn't come from waiting. It doesn't come from wishing. It doesn't come from hoping. It comes from using the formula to take control of the only things you've ever truly had control over: your focus, your state, and your action. And the moment you do, life shifts instantly,